Hey, what up anyone who's watching? This is View with Ice, the channel for anime and TV show related content. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the best fights in Naruto that doesn't include Naruto. Compared to One Piece, I don't have the same level of knowledge of Naruto, but there are a few fights that I will never forget. And in normal View with Ice fashion, this video won't have a specific order because I don't care about order, I just care about the best moments an anime has to provide, and these are surely some of the best. Deidara is weirdly one of my favorite Akatsuki members, and he proved to be a very difficult opponent for the overly confident and cocky Sasuke. While Sasuke really irritated me during this time in the story, I take nothing away from how impressive he was against Deidara. Deidara was the more experienced shinobi during this fight, but Sasuke held more than his own against the Akatsuki member. As I said before, I hated Sasuke during this time period, but I couldn't be more impressed by the way he escaped the explosion. If he wasn't such a smart and talented shinobi, this could have easily been his final fight in the story. When it comes to fights in this anime, I've always felt that this one is somewhat overlooked. I also consider it to be one of my all-time favorite anime fights involving a female character. Going through some comment sections, I have seen that people say that Conan wasn't as powerful compared to some other Akatsuki members, and I have to agree, but at the same time, I have to also somewhat disagree. When it comes to top members on a normal day, she wasn't in their league, but Conan proved with some prep time that she is in fact one of the most dangerous members in the faction, as she almost killed one of the most powerful members in the Akatsuki. I don't know how she got 600 billion paper bombs together. Just the number alone sounds ridiculous, but with this, she was able to drive Obito into a corner, so much so that he had to sacrifice one of his eyes for the Izanagi to get out of the situation. If he didn't, Conan would surely have gotten the W. Compared to most of the fights in this video, this one wasn't as flashy as the others, but the weight behind this one is what made it so special. I always enjoy Shikamaru's fights because it is almost never a straightforward affair, and there always goes a lot of thought and effort into his battles. Shikamaru isn't one of the most powerful shinobi in the story, but his intellect is what makes him such a dangerous opponent, and since he doesn't look very impressive, he tends to get underestimated, and that is exactly why he done ended up where he did. His overconfidence in his ability is one of the biggest reasons why Shikamaru won this fight. This type of fight is also why I love Naruto so much, because it isn't just about power-ups and flashy colors. I would also love to call this one of the most satisfying victories in the story. Although this was a very short encounter, I feel it is one of the standout moments during the Pain arc. Almost anything that includes Kakashi is great. He is just one of those characters you can never get tired of seeing, and the combination of him and Pain was just one of those goosebump worthy moments. Kakashi got dusted in this fight, but even though he took an L, it was just another showcase of how impressive of a shinobi he is. Pain was much more powerful than the Leaf Shinobi, but Kakashi was still able to put on a decent fight against the main villain of the arc. I know Kakashi is a top tier shinobi, but I swear if he had deeper chakra reserves, he would be next to unstoppable. The outcome of this fight may be one of the most heartbreaking moments in the series, but it is surely one of the most epic fights you will ever find in Naruto. I have always felt that if Jiraiya knew the secret of Pain from the get-go, this fight may have had a completely different ending. Because just the way he took on Pain without any real knowledge of how his powers work really showed us just how superior of a shinobi he was. I think we also just be glad that Kabuto wasn't able to bring him back during the 4th Great Ninja War, because he would have been a real problem on the battlefield. The next one is one of the most satisfying fights that I've ever watched in my life. At this point in the story, Sasuke's arrogance was getting on my nerves on the highest level, and I actually hated him during this period, but Killer Bee made everything better with this beatdown. Sasuke was by no means weak, but the power gap between him and the 8-Tails Jinchuriki was evident. If it weren't for his team, he would have been part of the people that got reincarnated at the 4th Great Ninja War, because Killer Bee almost sent him to the upper room twice. This fight made me feel the same way as when Luffy punched the Celestial Dragon. I of course don't completely hate Sasuke, but this is easily my favorite Sasuke moment. Next up, we have the iconic fight between Rock Lee and Gara. The reason why I love this fight so much is the level of emotion behind it. I have always felt that emotion mixed with decent choreography will trump over the top flashy colored fights the majority of the time. I love how the fight started out with Gara and his team being overconfident in his ability, and the moment Lee dropped the weights, the entire complexion of the fight changed. Gara got back the upper hand, but Lee turned the tables on him one more time by opening the inner gates, taking his speed up a few notches and moving so fast that the Sand Shinobi couldn't even keep up with him. But Gara managed to survive Lee's onslaught, and since opening the inner gate is a double-edged sword, it left Lee unable to defend himself and he took advantage of the opportunity. The fight was amazing, and the ending of the fight surely made the vast majority of us who watched it a Rock Lee fan. Just the fact that he was unconscious and stood back up in a fighting stance was surely enough for everyone to fall in love with his character. Guy vs Kisame is a fight that has been in the works ever since Itachi and Kisame made their way to the Hidden Leaf village. I would even say that this fight is somehow destined, since his father sacrificed his life to fight the 7 swordsmen of the mist. The thing that makes Guy look even more impressive is the fact that he was fighting Kisame near a body of water. Kisame is a water-style jutsu specialist. He could also be considered one of the strongest members in the Akatsuki, plus he also stole a large amount of chakra from B. But Guy opening the 7th gate and using his Hirudora was far more for the rogue shinobi to handle. Next up we have one of the absolute best fights in the original Naruto series, and also a fight that I feel is somewhat underappreciated. Let's just be honest with ourselves, Lee was not on Kimimaru's level. Even though he specializes in taijutsu, he couldn't even connect with the leader of the Sound 5. But after Lee stopped the fight to take his medicine, everything changed. He accidentally took sake instead of his actual medicine, but this accident led to him changing the tide of the fight. With his drunken fist, he was able to hold back Kimimaru. His unorthodox fighting style confused the Kekkei user, and he couldn't keep up with the taijutsu specialist. I can tell you now, One Piece is my #1 anime in life, but when it comes to hand-to-hand combat fights, I have to give the crown to Naruto. And although Kishimoto created a legendary story with Naruto, I am still mad at the man for not letting Rock Lee shine brighter. Lee is truly one of my favorite characters in the series. And the crazy thing about this fight is that this was just the first round that I am talking about. Just these few exchanges between Lee and Kimimaru alone created one of the best fights in Naruto. I'm gonna end this video off with probably the biggest underdog in the history of the story, Might Guy. I feel it is truly a shame that we never got to see more of Guy during the run on Naruto. He is definitely one of the coolest characters in my opinion, but let's talk about the fight. Ever since Madara came back, he was a problem. Firstly, taking on an entire army all by himself, then dropping 2 meteors on that army just to see what his new body was capable of doing. He then took on the 5 Kage and made them look like regular shinobi in comparison to him. He also went against Naruto and Sasuke and defeated them, and did one of the most disrespectful moves in the history of anime by turning Sasuke into a selfie stick. He just came across as this unbeatable god of a character that no one could touch, until a plain looking Hidden Leaf shinobi stepped up and gave him the fight of his life. Guy was so powerful that it made Madara acknowledge him as the strongest taijutsu user. If Guy could have lasted longer using the final gate, I have no doubt that he could have defeated the legendary Madara Uchiha.